Black Panther. It's one of those very interesting movies that hasn't come out yet at the time of writing this video, but a lot of people have been talking about it relentlessly from many different perspectives. If you think that Black Panther is just a movie, you are wrong. Oh, I am wrong, Twitter. Please enlighten me. Black Panther apparently isn't just a movie, it's actually a movie that represents black people, black culture, and black power. It represents so many people who feel underrepresented in pop culture. A triumph for black people to actually have a movie about them where they can lead their own lives. I honestly don't know why that sort of thing should be celebrated. None of us in the nation celebrate the fact that Hollywood noticed us with the Raid movies, or at least to the extent of these people. They just say, oh, that's great. We would like to see more Indonesians in Hollywood. And no, you're not racist if you don't want to. And then you have these people who literally lives in America and have tons of famous black people already in Hollywood and the industry and even the history, and they're still begging for representation. Why do these people keep on begging? Beats the hell out of me. Now, in order for me to tackle this topic, I'm going to split this topic in probably three different videos. We're going to talk about the hype surrounding this movie. Right after that, we're going to talk about the actual film, while also talking about whether or not it deserves 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. The hype of this movie is pretty freaking real, guys. I can only imagine the hate that is coming to those brave 3 people that gave this movie a rotten score. We'll get to that after I watch the movie, which I haven't because the movie hasn't been released yet. For now, let's just talk about the insane social media hype surrounding the film. But before we get into the first chapter of this mess, huge thanks to Diverse, Keith, and DJ Daniel for the pledges, and Brynjolf and Martin for the donations. You guys are fantastic. In my really damn old Captain America Civil War review, I've mentioned that Black Panther is an excellent character in that movie because he is one of the few characters that have a legit arc that contributes significantly to the story. Since Black Panther is a part of the MCU and I really love what they did with both the MCU and Black Panther, I cannot wait for it to be released. I really want to see this film because I've seen all of the Marvel MCUs and I think they did great jobs at establishing the movies and the characters. A couple of missteps, sure, but there are great masterpieces as well. But ever since the relentless media shilling of this movie, there are tons of people who feel discouraged on seeing it. It's interesting that we're living in a time where people's interest on seeing movies can also depend on whether or not people keep banging on about it. I mean, people kept banging on for me to watch Your Name. I didn't until just a couple of months ago, and it turned out to be an absolute masterpiece. And its porn parody is pretty excellent too. Okay, bad example. But a good example will be Ghostbusters 2016. It just shows the amount of power and influence that the mainstream media has when the movie bombed in the box office. It also shows that you cannot convince people to see this film by mere intimidation. So why hasn't anyone in the mainstream media or even social media learned this lesson yet? Or maybe they are making these articles just to either sensationalize or pander into these specific people. The point is, what I think of this film will be independent to what other people think on this film. So keep shilling all you want, and if your film is garbage, I will call it out. If it's not, then it's not. Simple as that. If you are browsing on Twitter, you might see this pop up once in a while. Browsing through it reveals some interesting opinions that people have about the movie. First off, we have black girl nerds tweeting, "What does the Black Panther movie mean to you?" Well, since you asked, it means not much to me, but then again, I'm not black. My cousin is though, but that's irrelevant. We're going to see a brand new Marvel superhero film, and to me, that's great. Black Panther can only be a huge impact if Stan Lee decided to hand over the entire Marvel comics to me. To black people in America, however, this apparently means a lot to them. This person told me to check out the hashtag what Black Panther means to me for your regular reminder that representation matters. Why does representation matter? Well, let's find out. What Black Panther means to me. It means that my kids and young black kids everywhere will see themselves as heroes capable of leading their own narratives. So all this time in America, black people cannot accomplish anything in their life, like becoming leaders or something. Black people cannot become successful. They can't be people who are loved in the industry and adored by many. They cannot be leaders of their own narratives. All of this is because the heroes that you see today are just filled with nothing but white people, and black people obviously cannot relate to white people. And yet for some reason, a lot of them can relate to Goku. At least that's what Kotaku said. The point is, black people in superhero stories are underrepresented. With the exception of Blade, Falcon, War Machine, Cyborg, Green Lantern, Luke Cage, Spawn, Static Shock, Storm, Wally West. That is until Black Panther comes in that inspires black children to become people that can lead their own narratives and be the protagonists of a great superhero film. After the other great superhero film with a black protagonist, how come movies and characters in the past can still be more progressive without the needs of people telling others about representation? An interesting thing to point out, especially after that Kotaku article, is that human beings have this thing called empathy, and this empathy is what allows us to relate to other people's feelings, struggles, and emotions. If you can't make it out yet, I am Indonesian and my skin is brown, and my favorite fictional characters don't have the same skin color as me, don't have the same nationality as me, don't have the same gender as me, or even the same species as me. It is possible to idolize and relate to the issues of characters that are not the same skin color as you. So I have no idea why representation is necessary, because this entire thing implies that people of one skin color cannot relate to people with another. So either representation is a desperate cry for attention or an excellent gallery to highlight sociopathic behaviors. Although there is a perspective that I can totally agree on. It's quite rare for Marvel or DC to have superheroes that are not Americans. I know that it's a comic book industry based in America and the writers are writing what they know, but there are also tons of anime out there that not only takes place in the West, but whose characters are not Japanese. So Marvel or DC, as much as I love your works, you're practically sending the message that if you want to be a superhero, you have to be at least an American. But then again, a lot more aliens disproportionately attack America as well. So maybe I should be careful what I wish for. The moment I beg for DC or Marvel to have Indonesian superheroes, that's where the aliens begin to invade Indonesia. But when Hollywood is still obsessed in destroying their own famous landmarks, at least they're not making a movie about aliens attacking Candi Prambanan or something. Oh wait, they did.
What Black Panther means to me, to see us in powerful roles, to know that we can be heroes, to see black women doing the same thing, to see black mythology at work, to see a film celebrate our worth. Black Panther is truly giving us and the next generation something to smile about.
We have already seen black people in powerful roles before, and it doesn't even have to be limited to superhero films. Movies that star Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Idris Elba, Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson, Wesley Snipes, they can seriously kick ass. And speaking of kicking ass, if you haven't seen the movie Black Dynamite and its anime series, you are wasting your life. They are freaking amazing. There are films that don't even have to contain action to be relatable. I love Straight Outta Compton. It's a great film with legit tear-jerking scenes. At this moment, it really doesn't help listening to many movies or stories with black people that are successful in the past, because these people have a severe case of short-term memory loss that would make the dude from Memento look normal in comparison. I don't know what's going on with these people's heads, and I don't know what kind of education that the university fed them, or maybe even lack thereof. What I do know is that they're horrendously misinformed, and they're using these misinformation to prove a point that doesn't resonate with your common everyday people. Again, what's with all these begging for representation? This is like the 4th, 5th? I practically lost count for the past couple of weeks, but this is probably the climax after all of these ridiculous demands. I absolutely love that Twitter misplaced this tweet over here saying, "Jesus, it's just a movie." And in the end, he's right. It is still just a movie. The Raid is an awesome movie that got Indonesian actors to be casted in many Hollywood roles, but it's still just a movie. I can be a bit over-idealistic at times, but you guys are really overselling it, considering that we've had many black roles in the past. The implications that these people give regarding the state of Hollywood or the Western entertainment scene in general is quite eye-opening. They're treating black people being in movies as something revolutionary, just to make the point that America or Hollywood or Western entertainment are discriminating against them or something.
A film that connects black American and African cultures in ways that aren't all about trauma, conflict, and slavery.
Yeah, I think it was called Straight Outta Compton, but then again, the movie probably relates to trauma in some way, so I don't think that counts so much for you.
What Black Panther means to me, breaking free of the comfortable tropes of sidekicks and sacrifices, soaring into our technological future while honoring history and tradition, seeing myself and my children's destiny reflected in the empowering mirror of #Afrofuturism.
Well, an interesting thing about Wakanda, aside from the fact that apparently some people thought it was real, is that it started off as a very isolationist country. It is certainly one of the most technologically advanced countries in the MCU, but it doesn't really like to share, and they are certainly not welcoming any trespassers. That's not very inclusive of them. Are we going to get a refugees welcome movement in there? But I gotta give them credit in Civil War for Wakanda to actually be with the United Nations and become more open, but then again, their traditional roots are still very present. So if you are celebrating the history and tradition, I think you're celebrating for a history and tradition that would be incompatible with your views of inclusivity and diversity, especially considering that one of Black Panther's enemies are ultra-conservative zealots that want to stay true to its Wakandan roots, as in kill every trespassers or illegal immigrants. Again, not very inclusive, and you're practically endorsing a black ethno-state. I mean, who will be your leader? This chick? That is, unless your views on inclusivity isn't as you advertise, and that it's only inclusive to black people and non-whites. White people can go to hell or something. You guys have no idea how many people claim that a movie that is 90% black is apparently considered diverse. Also, while I am a bit more on the idealistic side, you have to be pretty freaking petty to say that you see yourself in a big screen, not because the character's personality resonates with you, but because the character have the same skin color as you. Again, if black people can relate to Goku, I'm sure anyone can. I consider Black Panther to be the best part in Civil War, not because of his skin color, but because his action scenes are fantastic. He has a legit character arc that drives the plot, and he hammers down a great moral lesson from the movie. I think you all get the point of how social media overhyped this movie into a ridiculous degree, but there are also other interesting things that came out of it. There was a petition created to get Marvel to donate 25% off of the profits to black community. I know that petitions can be horrendously stupid, and I know that some can even be fake, but what makes it even stupider is the justification behind the petition.
Surely more than just black people will be heading to the movies on February 16th to indulge in another piece of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, Marvel Studios hasn't pulled out all the stops to get everyone else to come out to the theaters. They have blatantly targeted the black community because they want one thing the black community has to offer in abundance: black dollars.
That is amazing. I mean, wow, that is one of the dumbest things that I have ever read in a while. This movie is targeting black people, and black people are happy to spend their $5, $10, $12. I don't know the movie's ticket price in there. It's like $5 in here. They're happy to spend money in the movie, and therefore that's bad because that's exploiting black people. Yeah, it's also exploiting white people and my own freaking wallet as well. It's called business. You want to see a film? You have to pay for it. This has to be written by a freaking communist because this guy is literally begging for money.
You have the ability to not only be entertained, but to leave the theater in February knowing that a portion of your money will be coming back into your community. To not only go see a film about a fictitious country in Africa with advanced technology, but the opportunity to invest in programs which focus on the fields, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that make such advancements possible in real life.
Well, at least you recognize that Wakanda is fictitious. That's more than I can say to some of the people who comment on this. Begging for representation from Marvel is one thing, but begging for money from a big film studio just because your skin color is the same as the majority cast of the film has got to be one of the pettiest requests that I have ever seen since blackmailing your favorite fictional work creators to make your gay pairing canon. It's astonishing that some people went in lengths for this garbage. If you really want to help the black community so much, why not donate your own money or run a charity for poor black children to see this film? Someone did exactly that and raised $300,000. Now this is how you do it. You don't beg for Marvel to do it because that would only make you look like an entitled douchebag. You help your own people in your community to actually see the freaking film. The social media hype for this movie consists of people celebrating representation in Hollywood. The problem is nobody who celebrated this have any idea of how diverse Hollywood is. And even so, I still have no idea how representation matters, or at least I have no idea why you have to keep banging on about it. The most ridiculous demand of representation that I've seen is IO9 begging for LGBT representation in a nation that takes place in a continent where it's pretty much illegal. I know that Wakanda is fictitious, but you are really testing my suspicion of disbelief if that's really your demand. LGBT people in Africa smacks horrendous fanfiction to me. So there's the social media hype. It's filled with people celebrating things that I just don't understand. Why do all of these things matter to you so much? Please, can you enlighten me because I don't get it. Maybe I won't get it because I'm not a minority in the US. But then again, I consume a lot of Japanese and Western media, none of which represents me, my skin color, my ethnicity, etc. And I'm also a minority in my own country. I've seen more Muslims in my local TV than Hindus or Christians. Maybe because I'm not as entitled as these people, I really don't know. I've been making videos about this topic for about 2 years now and I still have no idea. So now that we covered the social media hype, I think we should move on into the actual film. What do I think of Black Panther? I haven't seen it, but I will. From there, we're gonna wrap up the saga and also talk about the reviews that this movie had. So stay tuned.